time now, in Nigeria and all over the world, persons with disabilities have faced a lot of challenges, including stigma and discrimination in the society. A lot of them do not have access to the basic physical facilities that can make life easier for them. However, with the passage of the Disability Rights Law in Anambra State last December, and most recently in Nigeria on January 23rd, there seems to have been an elevation of the suffering and challenges confronting persons with disability. Today, our spotlight will be on the Disability Rights Law and how effective it has been in changing the lives of the persons with disabilities. I am Priska Wankwo. This is Indepth. We are going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be introducing our guest for this conversation. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to the program In-Depth on ABS Television. Sometimes there are a lot of things people take for granted. For instance, climbing a staircase or using an elevator. However, you find out that on the other side of the divide, there are a lot of people who find it difficult to do these things. I'm talking about the persons living with one form of disability or the other. However, with the implementation of the Disability Rights Law in Anambra State last year, December, just before Christmas, and most recently in Nigeria on January 23rd, it seems that the problems and some of the challenges these people face have been elevated to an extent. That is why today we deemed it necessary to invite some of these persons living with disabilities to come and speak with us on their thoughts concerning this Disability Rights Law. I am Priska Wankwo, and I have with me right here in the studio, he is the treasurer of the Joint Association of Persons with Disability, Jena PWD, and also the chairman, Anambra State Association of the Deaf. I have Mr. Amobi Wangu. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, I also have Wanokwara Ncheta. She is the Financial Secretary, Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, and of course, as insert, we have the SA to the Anambra State Governor on Sign Language Communication. Yes, he is going to be our interpreter today. Hello, welcome to the program. Yes, now I'm going to be starting with you, Mr. Amobi Wangu. How do you feel about the implementation of the Disability Rights Law?
Thank you very much for the question. Honestly, I'm very happy, and for the first time in history, we have a law that will protect the rights of persons with disabilities. For so many years, let's say about 12 years, we've been advocating for the passage of this law, for us to have a law that will take care of persons with disabilities. And then we're very, very grateful for the wonderful Xmas gift His Excellency, the Governor, gave to us by signing this law. And it will make it possible for persons with disabilities to have access to, going to hospitals, those who are living with deafness to have an interpreter to help them bridge communication in hospitals, parents who refuse to send their special needs children to school. This law will enforce and make sure that whatever form of disability you're living with, it will not hinder you from doing living your normal life, because it comes out to protect the rights of persons with disabilities. So we'll have equal opportunities with others who are not living with disability. So honestly, we are very happy about this law, and we hope that the law will help to reduce the discrimination persons with disabilities are facing in the society, and all the negative attitudes that are being shown to persons with disabilities. This law will help to reduce those inhuman treatments, so that we all have an equal society. And we have to understand that God made the deaf, the visually impaired, everybody equal, and we all need to respect the rights, so that persons with disabilities will have a good life. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, Mr. Amobi, how has the implementation of this law helped you with regards to the issue of communication as a person with some form of physical disability? How has the implementation of the disability right law helped you with regards to the issue of communication?
Yeah, truly, this law has helped because some of the provisions of this law talks about the need to have sign language interpreters in hospitals to provide interpreting services for deaf women who want to go for antenatal go for the antenatal sessions, and it will help them to understand whatever the doctors are saying. Also, with this law, some parents who have deaf children, I'm bringing this because myself, I'm deaf. Some parents who have deaf children, to help them to learn so that they can easily communicate with their children. Because what we see now, most parents that have deaf children are not even able to communicate with their children in sign language because they just leave them and concentrate on their other children who are not special needs children. So with this law, you see that person with disabilities fully be integrated into the society, and whatever animal or inhuman treatment that has been accorded to them will stop to a very large extent. So this law, like in other developed countries, they have laws that are established to protect the rights of persons with disabilities, but it is now that we are bringing it back to our home, our states, and also to our country, Nigeria. So it will help us to a large extent. Thank you.
All right, so Ms. Ncheta, over to you now. What is the content of this disability right law? What are some of the contents?
Thank you, Ms. Priska. In this disability rights law, there are over 57 sections in this disability law. And taking it one after the other will take a whole lot of time, but I will highlight some of them that is inside. One is the establishment of Anambra State Disability Rights Commission. Two is provision for employment opportunity for persons with disabilities, that is graduates with disabilities. Three is accessible environment, provision of accessible environment for physically challenged persons. Another one is provision of healthcare services. Another one is provision of sign language interpreters to hospital, schools, other MDAs and agencies. Another one is provision of rights to marry, especially to women, because I have to emphasize this very well. That is where it impeaches most of our women with disability, because sometimes when you see a handsome man you want to marry, her parents or his parents and other relatives will be discouraging him or others not to marry that person with disability. But this law made it very clear, specify it clearly, that anybody, that is in section 40, subsection 1, it says there shall be no discrimination against any persons with disability with regards to his or her marriage, whether physically, visually, or deaf. There shall be no discrimination. Once that person is of marriageable age and finds whoever he wants to marry, able-bodied man, let me use that word, or able, he is lawfully allowed to marry that person. Nobody should interrupt, nobody should threaten, nobody should frustrate. And the law says again in subsection 3 of that section, it says anybody trying to threaten or frustrate or discourage anybody from marrying a PWD, that is persons with disability, that one, you see, it is unlawful to do that. And anybody liable, found guilty of that, is liable to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 100,000 payable to that person with disability that is you distorted to marry that boy or man you want to marry. Then there is a right for education, scholarship, free education to persons with disability from primary school to higher tertiary institutions. There is a right for political services, that is we are entitled to vote and be voted for.
Okay, Ntieta, I know that you have a whole lot to say concerning the content and the provisions of this disability right law, but I'll get back to you. Okay, Mr. Amobi Wangu, you know, earlier when we were talking about how the implementation of the disability right law have been able to help you in terms of communication, you said something about the employment of sign language interpreters. So how effective have it been in getting the sign language interpreters?
Thank you, Priska, for your question. Most importantly, what is important to deaf persons is access to information. And the access to information can only be gotten through a sign language interpreter. Because when a deaf person interfaces with a hearing person, it's either they are using pen or you see them pointing different directions. But there is a sign language interpreter, a professional sign language interpreter, the communication becomes direct. Because when you grow up, when you are born, you perhaps in a family, a child is born into a deaf parents. The first language he gets is sign language, and when he grows with it, he will become more proficient in sign language. And these children most times grow up to become good interpreters. So, for instance, if in the aspect of education, like in a school or higher institution, if there is no interpreter, you find that it's difficult for the deaf person to grasp what is being taught. But if you have an interpreter, it is easy for the deaf to follow up with other students and understand very well. Because when a sign language interpreter is not doing the right thing, it becomes boring to the deaf. You might just decide to slip off. But if you have an interpreter who is doing the right thing, he's able to break whatever communication that is being conveyed at that moment easily for a deaf person there to understand very well. And again, this issue of sign language, not everyone who can do it. If you don't go to school to learn it, you cannot understand sign language. So we are encouraging parents to also go to send their children who are deaf to learn, and also encourage more persons to learn our language so that they can become interpreters and then help in communicating, bridging communication gap. Because sign language is very easy to learn. If with sign language, we just communicate directly without using pen and paper. We communicate directly. So it will help us, it will help the individual who wants to learn, so that when we have more people learning sign language, you find that it even increases their employment possibility, because it's like an added advantage to them to be able to communicate in another language. So that is part of the things. So sign language empowers the deaf. It also empowers the individual who does the interpreter to help us to bridge communication, because it will be easier for them to find jobs even after acquiring this knowledge. But for example, if a deaf person goes to a hospital and they have nobody in the hospital who knows how to sign, it will affect the communication with the patient. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So I want to thank Mr. Amobi Wangu. He is the treasurer of Joint National Association of Persons with Disability and also the chairman, Anambra State Association of the Deaf. I want to thank him for joining the conversation today. Thank you, Mr. Amobi Wangu. And yes, we are going to go on a short break. And when we come back, we are going to be bringing in our interpreter. He is the SA to the governor of Anambra State on sign language communication. He is going to be joining the conversation after this time out. This is Indepth.
They are facing challenge because of, to my mind, awareness. Awareness in the sense that not everybody, when people design general things, common facilities, they don't easily remember them. Find people, not every house remembers to put a ramp, particularly in public places, to remember that the wheelchair will pass, for instance, for the crippled. And when you write exams normally, or when even television people interview you, they don't remember the blind. So these are some of the challenges.
Disabilities like blindness, cripple, somebody being amputated, all these challenges make people not to be physically vibrant and viable to face the challenges of the day, especially in this present age of very stressful economy. So they face a lot of lack, social stigma, they are being maligned, they are being neglected. These are some of the challenges I can say Time for the government to take care of them, to know where they can locate them and be feeding them, financing them, know what is their needs. Because nobody is here to help anybody. This is Anambra State and Nigeria in general. You see? So it's better for the government to know how to take care of them.
You're welcome back to the program. This is still Indepth on ABS television. And just before the break, remember I told you that after the break, our interpreter will be joining us in this conversation. You know, when a lot of people see people signing, doing sign language, you think it's actually very easy. Well, we are here to find out. This is actually the first time we're trying something like this because we know there are some people out there who might not be understanding what we are saying. And the only kind of communication they might understand is sign language. I'm SA to the Governor on Sign Language Communication, Joseph Collins. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you, Priska.
Okay,
Nice
Joseph. Wow, you know, I've been signing and all that. But at first, if I want to sign, my name is Priska, how do I do that?
Easy. You need to first learn the alphabet. So this is P.
Okay.
This is R.
Oh.
This is I.
Oh, okay.
This is S.
Okay.
C. A.
Interesting. Wow. Well, okay. Let's eventually we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. But Joseph Collins, interesting. Okay. A young man like you. How did you eventually get into sign language communication? How did you get into sign language communication?
Well, I've been into sign language for say past 15 to 14 years now.
Wow.
It is something I picked up from childhood.
Yeah,
so,
did you have a relative that you needed to communicate with
well,
sign language?
I had neighbors, I had church members, so many things encouraged me to learn. And later, you know, as the years went by, I picked more interest and dived deeper into sign language.
Okay, Joseph, this commission that is talked about in the disability right law, what is this commission all about?
Okay, the commission mainly it's to be the governments of the states, which is Anambra state government, would be establishing this commission to oversee the affairs of persons with disabilities. And we'll have different MDAs that will make up this commission. We'll have Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Justice. So also under this commission, we'll have persons with disabilities to also direct most of the departments of this commission. And for example, this commission will have to relieve most agencies of their responsibilities now and concentrate all of them so that everything that is happening about persons with disabilities, this commission will take full charge of it. So we don't need to go to other ministries. Like before now, they will go to Ministry of Women Affairs, they'll go to Ministry of Education, they will go to Ministry of Sports, because we have special sports, we have special education, we have welfare. So with this commission, you find out that it takes care of everything. Everything is centered into this commission. So under this commission, we'll have to make sure that most of the sections of this law, this commission will oversee to make sure that it is actually going according to how it is in the law. So also this commission will also be in charge of whatever anybody that goes against the provision of this law. Is this commission that also go to a large extent to make sure that there are punitive actions against whoever goes against the provisions of the law. So the commission has a lot of responsibilities by the time it comes into place.
Whose duty is it to create this commission? Whose responsibility is it to create this commission you talked about?
The Anambra state government, of course,
okay,
will create this commission.
Okay.
Will create this commission.
Okay.
And from there, there will be appointments of board members and the various departments, like I mentioned earlier. We have those in departments for sports, education, welfare, and different aspects that make up this commission.
All right, okay. So, Ncheta, how functional will the creation of this commission be in taking care of the needs of persons with disabilities? How functional will this commission be?
Thank you, Ms. Priska. Permit me, before I answer your question, let me appreciate His Excellency, Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, who is a disability-friendly governor in Anambra State. We give him a title, Oguguomobi Ndiolusi. We appreciate him very well. And we also appreciate our development partner that is partnering with us to see the success of this advocacy, the success of the advocacy to this implementation of this law. There are no other organization than LOLAC, Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption in Anambra State. They are really doing wonderful to make sure that this law is being implemented in Anambra State. Coming to your question, the Disability Rights Commission, when implemented it, will be of most benefit to persons with disability in Anambra State. Coming to the employment of it, I will use employment because it's one of the most things that we find very difficult after graduating from school. Most agencies, private companies and public individuals, they will be discriminating us, discouraging us that we are not qualified, that we cannot do this kind of job or not. But this establishment of this commission, we see to it that whenever any person with disability graduated from school, he or she will have automatic employment. Thank God for our dear governor or Chief Dr. Obiano, who before now has started the automatic employment for persons with disability. Before the answer to this bill, he has already employed over 80-something persons with disabilities, and he is ongoing doing more for persons with disabilities. At least now, some names are being compiled, and he assigned it. The files are in the Civil Service Commission, waiting for them to come and collect their employment papers. And when this implementation of this law, when being implemented, it will also take charge for persons with disability to go to school free of charge on scholarship provision, because it's one of the things that is being provided inside the law. They will go on scholarship from their primary to tertiary educations. This law, again, when implemented, will also make most of our men and women to get married, because these are our disabilities. Sometimes when person see us, he will say, hey, this woman or this girl on disability, she cannot be able to deliver, she cannot be able to carry pregnant. Or this man, because his disability, because he has one form of disability or the other, he cannot be able to impregnate a lady when he married it. So he makes most of our mothers, most of our parents to deprive their sons, their daughters from marrying a person with disability. But this law, when implemented it, will encourage most of us to get married. And when we get married, you will find out that God give us that special gift. Some of us deliver without CS. Some of us that are being denied of marrying a person of our choice, when they actually get a person they love and married it, be it a man or woman, 2 months, 3 months, they will get pregnant. But on the other hand, they are discouraging us, saying that we cannot do it, we cannot do that. Then this law, when implemented it will also give us encouragement to engage ourselves into political affairs. Some of us are most eager to buy form to contest for one post or the other, but some of the political parties denied us our right for being voted for, that we cannot do it, forgetting that we have something upstairs. We have one form of challenge or the other, either in our leg or in our hand or in our eyes or in our head, or in our ear. But we don't have something. We don't have disabilities in our brain. But this law, when implemented it will equally give us courage. When take for example, me, if I want to come out to vie for member of House of Assembly, I want everybody to come out and voted for me because I know I'm qualified for it. When implemented also, it also gives all of us courage to come together as a one body and give our voice to the people, so that they will know that we know what we are doing.
Thank you very much. All right, so Joseph Collins. All right, so judging from some of the challenges persons living with disabilities they faced earlier before the implementation of this law, now, would you say that this disability right law have been able to address majority of the challenges faced by PWDs before now?
Thank you very much again. Remember, this is a new law,
all right,
recently passed, 18th December 2018. So for now, we've not seen it being implemented. But in Anambra, for instance, even before this law was signed, this bill was signed into law, the state has shown and proved itself as one of the most disability-friendly states in the whole of Nigeria. Also, it is very important to note that Anambra State is the only state in the whole of Southeast to have a disability rights law. And also, before now, we've had the governor making appointments, giving appointments to persons with disability. It's also on record that Anambra is the only state in the whole of South that has about 3 permanent secretaries who are persons with disabilities. And we have SSAs on disability matters, EAs on disability matters, and we see that even in the civil service, there is no discrimination when it comes to promotion of persons with disabilities. They have that opportunity to grow and to pursue their career to any level. So, I cannot say I've seen it being implemented, but I want to let you know that Anambra State has already been doing a lot. This law is just to give it more teeth, just to do more, so that even if after His Excellency's tenure expires, whoever is coming in again would also continue from where he stopped, to continue to trail the blaze when it comes to the affairs of persons with disabilities. So we are hoping also, we are expecting the commission, the National Disability Rights Commission, with the recent signing into law of this bill by the President Muhammadu Buhari, and when it comes into place, so most of these things, most of the provisions of this law will start experiencing it, and I hope it will be good for us.
All right. Okay, Inchata, how effective was this law in the electoral process? You know, the elections, general elections recently took place, and I know that some of the provisions, the contents of this law made provisions for persons with disability with regards to the issue of voting and all that. So how effective was it in this in the current ongoing electoral process?
Thank you. The law was effective in the last concluded on the ongoing election that is going on.
Election is coming up.
Thank God. INEC has been carrying us along all the while. Before now, INEC provided a framework for an accessible environment for persons with disability to vote. It's a booklet they gave it to us. We are using it, and INEC has collaborated with us, partnering with us in terms of voter education, different set of voters education before the election. We have series of the voter education with INEC, and thank God during on the election day we monitored and we observed our people. Most of PWD they come out in mass and vote, and many of them are saying that the environments are well accessible. The INEC advocate staff are well committed. They treated us well, give us preferential treatment. Thank God, the ballot paper were on Blair. We were on Blair booklets, even though it's on only presidential election. But we are hoping that once this law has been assented to, in future or in subsequent elections, the ballot paper on Braille will be on each and every election that we are going to have that year. And we are happy to announce also that INEC people did not leave us behind. They are collaborating with us, giving us every effort or assurance that we should come out and vote, that they make provision for us, even security levels, every other thing and otherwise. that they will go out and be voted with a clear conscience and on free environment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Nchetsa Okwara. Thank you very much. She is the Financial Secretary, Joint National Association of Persons with Disability. Thanks for coming on the program today.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we'll forget Joseph Collins, who doubled as our interpreter, and also he is the SA to the Governor of Anambra State on Sign Language Communication. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Okay, you've heard it. Everyone needs to be given an opportunity. That you have one form of physical challenge or the other is not an excuse for you not to participate in what concerns you and your society. Now, the disability right law have been passed in Anambra State. We say kudos to the state government. We say kudos to the state government for that wonderful act. And also, at the national level, it has also been passed into law. We are hoping for more good deeds to also make sure that persons with disabilities are not marginalized but included in what goes on in their country. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Indepth on ABS Television. My name is Chris Scott.